Trust is a funny thing. You give it freely to someone you love, and they can carry it like a treasure or shatter it without a second thought. My name is Robert Jensen, and I'm 38 years old. For 20 years, my wife Emily told me she went to the bank every Monday morning. 20 years of the same routine, the same lie, and I never once questioned it. Why would I? She was my wife, my partner, the person I trusted more than anyone in the world. Until the day I followed her and watched her walk into the Grandview Hotel, not a bank, and kiss Douglas Whitmore, her college ex-boyfriend, like they'd been doing it for years. The shock hit me first, then the rage, then something colder, sharper, the realization that my entire marriage had been built on deception. But I didn't crumble. I didn't accept it. I channeled that rage into action and dismantled both their lives piece by piece. If you've ever had your world shattered by someone's lies, you'll understand exactly why I did what I did and why I'd do it all again. But let me start from the beginning. Before I go any further, let me know in the comments where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow I will share a story you don't want to miss. That Monday morning started like any other, except I was home instead of at work. 3 weeks earlier, I'd been laid off from my operations manager position at a manufacturing firm. Downsizing, they called it. 20 people let go in one afternoon, handed severance packages and escorted out by security like we'd done something wrong. So there I was, sitting in my home office, staring at my resume on the screen and not really seeing it. The cursor blinked. I typed a few words, deleted them, typed them again. Downstairs, I heard Emily moving through the house, the familiar sounds of her Monday morning routine. Cabinet opening in the kitchen, coffee mug on the counter, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. "Going to the bank," she called up the stairs. "Need to handle some account stuff. Be back in a couple hours." I heard the jingle of her keys, the front door opening and closing, and for the first time in 20 years, something cold prickled at the back of my neck. What if she's not going to the bank? The thought was absurd. Emily was the most reliable, honest person I knew. She was a senior accountant at a mid-sized firm downtown, meticulous about everything. She'd been making these Monday bank runs our entire marriage. But I couldn't shake it. I walked to the window and watched her pull out of the driveway in her silver Lexus. Before I knew what I was doing, I grabbed my keys and followed her. I stayed 3 cars back, feeling ridiculous, feeling paranoid. She drove through our suburban Portland neighborhood, took the main road toward downtown, toward where our bank actually was. "See?" I told myself. "You're being crazy." But then she passed the bank, kept driving. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. She turned onto Riverside Boulevard, into the historic district where old buildings had been converted into upscale shops and hotels. She pulled into the parking garage of the Grandview Hotel, a boutique place known for its luxury suites and discretion. I parked across the street, my heart hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. I watched her emerge from the garage elevator, smooth her skirt, check her phone, and walk into the hotel lobby with the confidence of someone who'd done this 1,000 times before. I sat there for maybe 10 seconds before rage replaced shock. I got out of my car and crossed the street, entering the Grandview's lobby. It was all polished marble and soft lighting, the kind of place that charged $400 a night minimum. I spotted Emily immediately. She was standing near the elevators, and she wasn't alone. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair graying at the temples, well-dressed in an expensive suit, distinguished looking, and he was holding my wife's hand, leaning down to kiss her, not a quick peck, but a real kiss, the kind that spoke of familiarity and intimacy. Something inside me shattered and reformed in the same instant, harder and sharper than before. I walked straight up to them. "Emily!" She jumped back like she'd been electrocuted, her face draining of color. "Robert! What are you— Oh my God! Who the hell is this?" I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. The ice in my tone made both of them flinch. The man, this piece of shit who'd been touching my wife, had the audacity to look annoyed. "I think you should leave," he said, actually stepping slightly in front of Emily like he was protecting her. I laughed. It was a harsh, ugly sound. "You think I should leave? That's Rich. I'm her husband, asshole. Who the fuck are you?" "Robert, please," Emily started, reaching for my arm. I yanked away from her. Don't you dare touch me. Answer the question. Who is he?" She looked at the floor, her face crumpling. His name is Douglas. Douglas Whitmore. We dated in college. Before I met you." Douglas, I repeated, tasting the name like poison. I looked at him. Really looked at him. And how long has this been going on? Emily said nothing. Douglas had the decency to look uncomfortable, but not apologetic. Not guilty enough. How long? I didn't care that we were in a public lobby now. An elderly couple near the concierge desk glanced over nervously. 20 years, Emily whispered. The lobby tilted. I heard the words, but they didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. What? We reconnected at our college reunion, she said, voice barely audible. Right after we got married. It just happened, Robert. I never meant... Never meant? I cut her off, my voice rising now. You've been fucking this guy our entire marriage and you never meant for it to happen? Every Monday for 20 years? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Emily? Enlighten me. Because from where I'm standing, you've been lying to my face every single week for 2 decades. Every bank run was you coming here to fuck your college boyfriend. Now wait just a minute, Douglas interjected, his tone sharp. You don't get to speak to her that way. I turned on him with such fury that he actually took a step back. I don't get to speak to my wife that way? You don't get to have an opinion here, Douglas. You're not part of this conversation. You're the reason for it. We love each other, he said, and the self-righteousness in his voice made me want to put my fist through his distinguished face. What Emily and I have is built on lies, I finished, built on sneaking around, built on betraying someone who trusted both of you. Well, I trusted her. I don't know you, but I'm guessing you knew she was married. I'm divorced, he said, like that mattered. Have been for 15 years. Good for you. Did your wife find out you were cheating on her too? His jaw tightened. That's none of your business. Everything about you is my business now. I looked between them, these two people who'd stolen 20 years of my life. Here's what's going to happen. Emily, you're going to get in your car and go home. You're going to pack a bag and you're going to leave. I don't care where you go. Maybe your parents, maybe a hotel. Maybe you can move in with your boyfriend here since you've clearly been rehearsing for it. Robert, can we just talk? No, we can't. 20 years of lying? There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice every single Monday for 2 decades. I pulled out my phone. I'm calling my lawyer today. You'll be hearing from him. And Emily? I leaned in close, keeping my voice low and lethal. I will take you for everything. The house, the savings, the retirement accounts, everything. You betrayed me in the worst way possible, and I promise you, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Her face crumpled completely now, tears streaming down her cheeks. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference. I looked at Douglas. And you? I'm going to find out everything about you. Where you work, who you know, what skeletons are in your closet. If there's a way to make your life hell, I'll find it. Is that a threat? He asked, trying to sound tough, but I could see the worry in his eyes. It's a promise. I turned and walked out of that hotel without looking back, even as Emily called my name, her voice breaking. I got to my car, gripped the steering wheel, and screamed. Just screamed until my throat was raw and my voice gave out. Then I started the engine and drove home to begin dismantling the lives of 2 people who'd destroyed mine. I pulled into the driveway 20 minutes later, hands still shaking. The house looked exactly the same as it had this morning. Same beige siding, same manicured lawn, same cheerful potted plants on the front porch. But everything had changed. Inside, Max greeted me at the door, tail wagging, blissfully unaware that our world had just imploded. I scratched behind his ears, taking comfort in his uncomplicated affection, then headed straight to the home office. First call, Greg Sanders. He picked up on the second ring. Robert? Hey man, Emily's been cheating on me, I said without preamble. For 20 years. I just caught her at a hotel with the guy. Silence. Then, Jesus Christ, are you okay? No, but I will be. I need your help, Greg. I need the best divorce attorney in Portland, and I need to know how to protect myself financially. His voice shifted immediately. Less friend, more attorney. I'm on it. Give me an hour. Don't do anything stupid in the meantime. Don't empty bank accounts, don't damage property, don't threaten anyone. Already threatened them both, I admitted. Verbally? Very verbally. Okay, that's manageable. Anything physical? No. Good. Keep it that way. I'll call you back with a referral. In the meantime, document everything. Check phone records, credit card statements, anything that proves the affair. I hung up and got to work. Our home office had a filing cabinet where Emily kept all our financial records, meticulous as always, organized by year and type. I pulled out the last 5 years of bank statements first, spreading them across the desk. And there it was, Monday after Monday, $200 withdrawn in cash, like clockwork. 9:30 in the morning every single week. 20 years of Mondays. I did the math on my phone calculator. 52 weeks a year, times 20 years, times $200. Over $200,000 in cash alone. But that was just the beginning. I logged into our online banking and started searching for credit cards tied to our address. Emily had always handled the finances. She was the accountant after all. I'd trusted her completely. That's when I found it. A Visa card in her name only, billing address our house, that I'd never known existed. I clicked through to the statements. The Grandview Hotel, again and again and again, sometimes twice a month, sometimes weekly, always charged on Mondays between 10 and 11 in the morning. Expensive restaurants I'd never been to, jewelry purchases. Weekend charges at hotels in Seattle, Vancouver, the Oregon coast, all dates when Emily had claimed to be at accounting conferences. My stomach turned. I kept scrolling, kept documenting, kept screenshotting everything. The phone rang. Greg. Damian Hansen, he said. He's one of the most aggressive divorce attorneys in Portland. Expensive, but worth every penny. I already called him, told him your situation. He can see you tomorrow morning at 9. Thank you, I managed. Rob, I'm sorry, man. I really am. Emily seemed so... Don't. Everyone thought she was great. That's what made her such a good liar. After we hung up, I kept digging. Phone records showed regular calls to the same number, which a quick reverse lookup identified as belonging to Douglas Whitmore. Hundreds of calls over the years. You know what's funny? I remember Emily once telling me we should simplify our finances, consolidate accounts. I'd agreed, thinking it was just her being practical. Now I understood. She wanted to keep certain accounts hidden from me. By the time I heard Emily's car in the driveway around 3 that afternoon, I had 20 years of evidence spread across the living room coffee table. Bank statements, credit card bills, phone records. All of it pointing to one inescapable conclusion. My wife had been living a double life, funding it with our money and lying to me every single day. She walked in slowly, her face red and swollen. Robert, no, please. Can we talk? You can talk. I'll listen. But nothing you say is going to change what happens next. She sat in the chair across from me, not on the couch where we'd sat together thousands of times. Smart choice. I don't know where to start, she said. Start with the truth. All of it. She took a shaky breath. Douglas and I dated our senior year of college. It was intense, passionate. We talked about getting married, but his family had money and expectations. They wanted him to marry someone from their social circle. We broke up badly. I was devastated. And then you met me, I said flatly. Yes, you were kind and steady and... I did love you, Robert. I do love you. Don't insult me by claiming you love me. I married you, she continued, and I thought I was over Douglas. We built a good life. But then that 5-year college reunion happened. You didn't want to go. You had that big project at work. So I went alone, and Douglas was there. He'd just gotten divorced. He told me his marriage had been miserable, that he'd always regretted letting me go, that he'd made the biggest mistake of his life. And you fell for it. We just talked that night. But we exchanged numbers. Then he texted. Then we met for coffee. Then... She trailed off. Then you started fucking him every Monday, I finished. For 20 years. Did you ever think about stopping? Even once? Yes, God, yes, so many times. But I couldn't. Robert, I know this doesn't make sense, but I love you both. You're my stability, my partner, my home. Douglas is your escape, your excitement, your dirty little secret? She flinched. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain to me how you justified this. I gestured at the evidence covering the table. Every Monday you lied to my face. Every time I trusted you, believed in you, you were making a fool of me. 7,840 Mondays. That's how many there are in 20 years. I looked it up. 7,840 individual choices to betray me. Her face crumpled. I'm sorry. I know that's not enough, but I am so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. For 20 years you chose to hurt me. Every Monday was a choice, Emily. What do you want me to do? I want you to pack your things and leave. I want you to sign whatever divorce papers my attorney draws up. And I want you to understand that everything we had is gone. You killed it. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Go to Douglas. You've been playing house with him for 2 decades. Make it official. He's not... It's complicated with him. I laughed bitterly. Oh, is it? Let me guess. He's not ready to commit? He likes the sneaking around? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. Get out, Emily. Pack a bag and get out. You have until Friday to get the rest of your things. After that, anything left is going to charity. She stood slowly, looking around our living room like she was seeing it for the last time. I really did love you, she whispered. No, I said coldly. You loved what I provided. Stability. Respectability. A cover for your affair. But you never loved me, because if you did, you wouldn't have been able to lie to me every single week for our entire marriage. She left the room. 20 minutes later, I heard her car pull out of the driveway. I sat there as the afternoon light faded, Max's head heavy in my lap, and began planning my next moves. Tuesday morning, I walked into Damian Hansen's office in downtown Portland. The building was all glass and steel, the kind of place that screamed expensive legal expertise. His office matched: dark wood, leather chairs, shelves lined with law books and framed victories. Damian himself was exactly what Greg had described: 6'3", broad-shouldered, with steel gray hair and eyes that could dissect you in seconds. When he shook my hand, his grip was firm enough to remind me he was used to winning. Mr. Jensen, he said, Greg speaks highly of you. I'm sorry we're meeting under these circumstances. So am I. Over the next 2 hours, I laid out everything. The 20-year affair, the Monday morning bank runs that were actually hotel visits, the confrontation at the Grandview, the evidence I'd already gathered. I spread bank statements across his conference table, credit card records showing cash withdrawals every single week, hotel charges on a card I'd never known existed. Damian listened without interrupting, taking notes occasionally, his expression growing darker. This is remarkably well documented, he said finally. The pattern is clear, the financial evidence is solid. In Oregon, we have no-fault divorce, but infidelity can absolutely affect division of assets. I want her to get nothing, I said. Legally, that's difficult. Oregon is an equitable distribution state, which means I know what it means. But she used our joint money to fund this affair, 20 years of it. Damian's mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. You've been doing your homework. Yes, we can argue dissipation of marital assets. If she spent significant joint funds on the affair, that can be recouped from her share of the settlement. He pulled out a calculator. Rough estimate, $200 cash weekly for 20 years is over $200,000. Add hotel rooms, dinners, gifts. We'll need to subpoena her full credit card records. But we could be looking at $500,000 or more in marital assets she spent on this affair. Take it all back, every penny. We'll do our best. Now, about the house. It's mine. We bought it 15 years ago with money from my signing bonus. My name is on the mortgage. Both names? Both names on the deed, but I paid the down payment and most of the mortgage. She contributed, but less than 30%. We can argue for you to keep the house, especially given the circumstances. Damian leaned back. Mr. Jensen, I think we can build a very strong case here. Your wife conducted a long-term affair using marital funds. That gives us serious leverage. What about him? I asked. Douglas Whitmore, the other man. Oregon abolished alienation of affection lawsuits decades ago. You can't sue him for the affair. But I can make his life difficult in other ways. Damian's expression went carefully neutral. As your attorney, I have to advise you to focus on your divorce and let Mr. Whitmore go. Anything that looks like harassment could hurt your case. I understand. Hypothetically, though, if someone were to investigate Mr. Whitmore's background and discover relevant information, would that be acceptable? If relevant information came to light through legal means, public records, legitimate investigation, then yes, that could be useful. He paused. I can recommend a private investigator, for the purposes of your divorce case only. Of course. He wrote down a name on his business card, Angela Davis. I left his office with a retainer agreement signed and a weapon in my hand. I called Angela from my car. Mr. Jensen, she said when I explained why I was calling, Damian sent me your case summary. I'm sorry for what you're going through. Can you find out everything about Douglas Whitmore? I can find out anything that's in public record or observable. What are you specifically looking for? Everything. Where he works, his finances, his history, his ex-wife, why they really divorced. Whether he's done this before with other married women, anything that shows he's not the upstanding citizen he pretends to be. I'll start today. This is a priority case for me. 2 days later, Angela called with her preliminary report. Douglas Whitmore is interesting, she said. He's the CEO of Whitmore Financial Consulting, a firm he inherited from his father. Makes about $3 million a year, never remarried after his divorce 15 years ago. And here's where it gets good. His ex-wife, Janine Whitmore, divorced him for adultery. He cheated on her? According to the divorce records, yes. She claimed multiple affairs during their marriage. He settled quickly, gave her a very generous package to avoid a contested divorce. So he's a serial cheater. Appears so, but there's more. His company is in trouble. They lost 2 major clients last year. There's a pending lawsuit from a former client claiming financial mismanagement. How bad is it? Bad enough that he might be looking at bankruptcy within 2 years if things don't turn around. A plan started forming. What about his reputation? If information about him having an affair with a married woman for 20 years became public, would that hurt his business? Absolutely. His client base is primarily wealthy, conservative families. A scandal like this would be devastating. And if that information were to reach his current clients? Angela was quiet for a moment. Mr. Jensen, I can't be part of anything that involves harassment or illegal disclosure. What if the information came out naturally, say through a divorce proceeding that became public record? Divorce records are public. If someone filed an affidavit detailing the affair, that would be legal. Good to know. There's one more thing, Angela said. The Grandview keeps records of regular guests. Mr. Whitmore has had a standing reservation every Monday from 10 to noon for the past 20 years. Same suite, paid for with his corporate card. His corporate card? He's been writing off their affair as a business expense? Looks like it. That's tax fraud if those expenses weren't legitimate business meetings. I smiled for the first time in days. Angela, you're worth every penny. Late Thursday night, I sat in my home office with Angela's full report spread across my desk. 20 pages of Douglas Whitmore's life laid bare, his failing business, his history of affairs, his fraudulent tax practices. Max slept at my feet while I mapped out my strategy, connecting the dots between Emily's career, Douglas's business, and the public exposure that would destroy them both. 1 week after my meeting with Damien, the divorce papers became public record. Emily had been staying with her parents, sending me texts every few hours. Can we please talk? We can work through this. 20 years has to mean something. I deleted every single one without reading past the first line. Damien filed with everything. The affair timeline, Douglas's full name, financial documentation showing exactly how much marital money Emily had burned through, every Monday hotel visit for 2 decades. Oregon law required full disclosure when you claimed dissipation of assets, which meant everything became part of the public record. I knew what was coming. I was counting on it. The first call came from Emily's sister. "You bastard," Liza snarled when I picked up. "Do you know what you've done to Emily?" "What I've done? That's rich, Liza. She made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk. What Emily did was choose to betray our marriage every single week for 20 years. You're going to destroy her career. This is public now. People at her firm are talking. That's not my problem. Actions have consequences. Emily can explain to her colleagues why her judgment was so poor she maintained an affair for 2 decades. You're being cruel. I'm being just. There's a difference." I hung up. Hours later, my phone rang again. Unknown number. "Mr. Jensen, this is Jonas Parker. I'm the senior partner at Parker, Rodriguez and Associates, Emily's firm." I sat up straighter. "How can I help you, Mr. Parker?" I wanted to discuss the situation with Emily. The details of her personal life have come to our attention. "You mean the 20-year affair she conducted while married to me?" "Yes, Mr. Jensen. We take ethical conduct seriously at our firm. Emily has been placed on administrative leave pending an internal review." I hadn't expected that. "What kind of review?" "She's a CPA. She has a fiduciary duty to our clients and a professional responsibility to maintain ethical standards. An affair of this duration suggests questionable judgment. Additionally, there are questions about whether she misused company time or resources. She left every Monday morning for 2 hours. Exactly. We're reviewing her timesheets and client records. If she billed clients for time, she was actually conducting personal business. That's fraud. I wanted to inform you in case it's relevant to your divorce proceedings. Thank you, Mr. Parker. I appreciate you calling. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. This situation is unfortunate for everyone. That evening, Douglas called. Mr. Jensen, this is Douglas Whitmore. My blood pressure spiked. What do you want? You need to stop this. Filing these public accusations, hiring investigators. It's harassment. It's the truth. Don't like it? Should have thought about that before you spent 20 years screwing my wife. I'm warning you. No, Douglas. I'm warning you. You inserted yourself into my marriage. You stole 20 years of my life. Now you're going to face consequences. I know about your company's financial problems. I know about your ex-wife and why she really divorced you. I know you've been writing off your affair as a business expense. Tax fraud, by the way. And I know your clients value discretion and traditional values. Values you clearly don't share. How dare you? How dare I? How dare I? My voice rose. You knew Emily was married. You pursued her anyway. You maintained this affair knowing you were helping her betray her vows. And now you're upset because I'm not going quietly? You're trying to ruin my business. I'm trying to get justice. If your business can't survive people knowing the truth about you, maybe it doesn't deserve to survive. This isn't over. You're damn right it's not over. It's not over until you've lost everything, just like I did. Except what I lost was stolen. What you're going to lose? That's earned. I hung up while he was still shouting. My hands were shaking, but it felt good. Productive. Like power. Over the following weeks, the legal motions flew back and forth. Emily's attorney, some overworked lawyer named Diane Garcia, tried to paint the affair as ancient history, tried to argue that what happened 20 years ago shouldn't matter now. Damien shredded that argument in depositions. The affair didn't end 20 years ago. It ended 3 weeks ago when Emily got caught. We attended mediation sessions where Emily sat across from me looking smaller each time, her eyes pleading. I stared through her like she was glass. 2 months after I'd confronted them at the Grandview, Damien called with an update. We subpoenaed her secret credit card, he said, and I could hear the satisfaction in his voice. Robert, the expenses total over $600,000. Hotel rooms, expensive dinners, jewelry, weekend trips when she claimed to be at accounting conferences, all spent on Douglas Whitmore. $600,000 of our money, our future, our retirement, burned on lies. Can we get it back? Every penny, Damien promised. It's coming out of her share of everything. 2 months into the proceedings, Angela called with something different in her voice. Excitement, maybe. Vindication. I found Douglas's ex-wife, she said. Janine Whitmore. She wants to meet you. She does? She hates him, Robert. Really hates him. And she has information that'll help destroy him. Angela paused. There's more. I uncovered that Douglas has had affairs with at least 2 other married women in the past 15 years. Both were clients of his firm. My stomach twisted. He has a pattern. Absolutely. One of the women agreed to talk. Off the record at first, but she's willing to provide a written statement. She said Douglas specifically targeted married women because they were safer, less likely to demand commitment or make things messy. Jesus Christ. Janine knows all about it. She's been watching him for years. Meet her. I think you'll find it worthwhile. The next afternoon, I walked into a coffee shop in downtown Portland. Janine Whitmore was already there, sitting at a corner table with perfect posture and the kind of elegance that comes from surviving something terrible and coming out stronger. She stood when I approached. Early 60s, gray hair styled beautifully, eyes sharp and knowing. Mr. Jensen, she said, shaking my hand firmly, I'm glad you reached out. When Angela told me what Douglas did to you, I felt sick. We sat. I ordered coffee I didn't want just to have something to do with my hands. You were married to him for 13 years? I asked. 13 of the worst years of my life. She sighed, but there was steel beneath it. Douglas is a narcissist, Mr. Jensen. Charming, sophisticated, utterly selfish. He wants what he wants, and he doesn't care who gets hurt. Angela said you divorced him for adultery, multiple affairs. I discovered 3. There were probably more. He'd gaslight me constantly, tell me I was paranoid, imagining things, being jealous for no reason. She looked at me directly. But I hired a private investigator, got proof. When I confronted him with it, he didn't even apologize. He said I should have been more exciting if I wanted him to stay faithful. The words hit like a punch. That same arrogance, that same refusal to take responsibility. I'm sorry you went through that. So am I. But I got out, got a good settlement, and rebuilt my life. You'll do the same. She leaned forward. Angela told me about the affair with your wife. 20 years? 20 years. My God. She shook her head. Douglas is a predator, Mr. Jensen. He hides it well, but that's what he is. Angela mentioned his business is failing. Janine's smile was sharp. Because he's a fraud. He inherited his father's firm, his father's client list, his father's reputation. But he doesn't have his father's skill or integrity. He's lost money for several clients through reckless investments. There are lawsuits pending. More will come. How do you know all this? Because several of his major clients are family friends of mine. Old Portland money. People who knew my family for generations. Her smile widened. I've already reached out to them. Suggested they might want to review their accounts very carefully. I stared at her. You're helping me destroy him. Damn right I am. Douglas destroyed our marriage. He destroyed yours. He's a predator who hides behind respectability. She pulled a folder from her bag and slid it across the table. This is everything I have. Emails, financial statements from our divorce, names of clients who've complained about his performance. Use it however you want. I opened the folder. Page after page of evidence. Proof of Douglas's incompetence, his fraudulent practices, his pattern of betrayal. Thank you, Janine. Seriously. Make him suffer, she said simply. For both of us. 3 days later, Jonas Parker called again. Mr. Jensen, I wanted to inform you that we've completed our internal review. Emily has been terminated. For what specifically? Ethics violations and timesheet fraud. We confirmed that she routinely took Monday mornings off, sometimes billing clients for that time, sometimes marking it as business development. Either way, it's fraudulent. She billed approximately $40,000 to clients for time she was actually at that hotel. $40,000 of client money, stolen hours. What happens to her professionally? Her CPA license is under review by the state board. Given the fraud, I expect it'll be revoked permanently. Emily's career, gone. That same week, Angela called with an update. I've been feeding information to a reporter at the Portland Business Journal, she said. All public record stuff. The lawsuits, the client complaints, the financial troubles. They're running a story tomorrow. What kind of story? The kind that'll make his remaining clients very nervous. The article came out the next morning. Whitmore Financial faces lawsuits amid mismanagement claims. It detailed the pending litigation, the lost accounts, the questionable investment strategies. It didn't mention the affair. That wasn't relevant to business, but it painted a picture of a company in crisis. Within 24 hours, 3 major clients terminated their contracts. Douglas's empire was crumbling. 2.5 weeks after the article ran, the calls started coming. Angela kept me updated. The Hartfield family just pulled their account. That's $8 million. The Morgensterns called this morning. Another $12 million gone. These were the old Portland families Janine had warned. People whose grandfathers had trusted Douglas's father. People who valued discretion and integrity above all else. One by one, they were walking away. How many is that total? I asked. 15 accounts in the last 2 weeks. Roughly $65 million in assets under management. Gone. Douglas's entire client base had been built on his father's reputation. Without it, he had nothing. My phone rang that afternoon. Douglas Whitmore. I let it ring 3 times before answering. What do you want? You destroyed my business. His voice shook with rage. You called my clients. You spread lies. I didn't call anyone, Douglas. I didn't have to. Bullshit. Those families didn't just decide to leave. Actually, they did. They realized they'd been trusting their money to a fraud. Someone who coasted on his daddy's reputation while losing their wealth through incompetent investments. I kept my voice level, cold. Someone who writes off hotel rooms as business expenses. Someone who has multiple lawsuits for mismanagement. Should I go on? You had no right. I had every right. You helped my wife betray me for 20 years. You knew she was married. You pursued her anyway. You used corporate funds for your affair. That's tax fraud, by the way. So when your clients started asking questions about your ethics and judgment, they found plenty of reasons to leave that had nothing to do with me. I'll sue you for defamation. Go ahead. Truth is an absolute defense, Douglas. Everything that's been reported is accurate. You're a terrible financial advisor. You're a serial cheater. You're a fraud in business and in life. I paused. And now everyone knows it. You've ruined me. Good. You deserve to lose everything. You stole 20 years of my life. Now you get to know how it feels. I hung up while he was still shouting. 2 weeks later, Whitmore Financial Consulting filed for bankruptcy. The same month, I got another update. This one about Emily. The State Board of Accountancy completed their review, Damien said during one of our meetings. They're revoking her CPA license. Permanently. For the timesheet fraud? Exactly. She billed clients for hours she spent at that hotel. That's theft, pure and simple. They determined she violated professional ethics standards and engaged in fraudulent billing practices. She'll never practice as a CPA again. Emily's career, everything she'd built professionally, gone. Without her license, she couldn't work for any reputable accounting firm. Her earning potential had dropped to maybe a third of what she'd made before. What about the divorce proceedings? Her attorney's trying to argue she deserves an equitable split despite everything. It's not going well. Damien slid a document across the desk. We've documented $600,000 in affair expenses. Hotel rooms, dinners at expensive restaurants, jewelry, weekend trips when she claimed to be at accounting conferences. I looked at the spreadsheet. 20 years of receipts, all neatly categorized, proof of every dollar she'd stolen from our marriage. Her attorney, Diane Garcia, seems overwhelmed, Damien continued. She's outmatched. She knows it. Emily probably can't afford better representation now that she's lost her job. Good. We have a hearing scheduled next week. Judge Marianne Wright will review everything and make preliminary rulings on asset division and spousal support. What are our chances? Damien's smile was sharp. With this evidence, I'd say we're in excellent position. The night before the hearing, I sat in Damien's office reviewing every document one more time. Bank statements, credit card receipts, hotel records, witness statements, Angela's investigative reports, the termination letter from Emily's firm, the license revocation notice from the State Board, 20 years of lies, all documented in black and white. You've built an overwhelming case, Damien said. Judge Wright is fair but tough. She doesn't tolerate sustained deception. This kind of long-term betrayal combined with financial fraud, she's going to rule heavily in your favor. I looked at the evidence spread across the conference table. This was it. Everything I'd worked for since that morning at the Grandview Hotel. Tomorrow changes everything, I said. Tomorrow you get justice, Damien corrected. Real, legal, documented justice. I drove home that night feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Confidence, not hope, not optimism, but certainty that the evidence would speak for itself and that Emily would finally face the full consequences of what she'd done. The courthouse felt like a cathedral of judgment. High ceilings, polished marble, everything designed to remind you that what happened here mattered. Damien and I sat at one table. Emily and Diane Garcia sat across the courtroom, and Emily looked like she'd aged a decade, gray at the temples, new lines around her eyes, shoulders slumped in defeat. Judge Marianne Wright entered, and we all stood. She was in her 50s, stern-faced, with the kind of presence that made you straighten your spine automatically. "Be seated," she said, settling behind the bench. "I've thoroughly reviewed all evidence submitted by both parties in this matter. Mr. Hansen, you may proceed." Damien stood. He didn't need notes. He'd lived this case for months now. "Your Honor, this case involves sustained, calculated betrayal spanning the entire 20-year marriage. Mrs. Jensen conducted an extramarital affair with Douglas Whitmore beginning shortly after her wedding to my client and continuing every Monday morning until she was discovered 3 months ago." He laid out the evidence methodically. $600,000 in marital funds spent on the affair, hotel receipts, credit card statements, 20 years of Monday morning lies. Mrs. Jensen also committed timesheet fraud at her place of employment, billing clients for hours she actually spent conducting this affair. This resulted in her termination and the permanent revocation of her CPA license by the State Board of Accountancy. Emily stared at the table, wouldn't look up. "My client is entitled to recoupment of all dissipated marital assets," Damien continued. "He should retain the marital home. He paid 70% of the down payment and the majority of the mortgage, and he should not be required to provide spousal support to someone who betrayed him so thoroughly for 2 decades. Judge Wright's expression didn't change, but I saw something flicker in her eyes. Distaste, maybe. Diane Garcia stood when Damien sat down. She looked exhausted. "Your Honor, Mrs. Jensen acknowledges her mistakes and takes full responsibility for the affair. However, she did contribute to the marriage for 20 years. She maintained full-time employment, contributed to household finances, maintained their home. Under Oregon's equitable distribution laws, she's entitled to fair consideration of those contributions. Damien was on his feet before Garcia finished sitting down. Your Honor, conducting an affair while stealing from joint accounts and lying every single week isn't marital discord. It isn't growing apart. It's sustained, deliberate betrayal. Mrs. Jensen made a choice, not once, but 7,840 times, every Monday for 20 years. I remembered calculating that number, remembered how it had gutted me. Judge Wright leaned forward. Mrs. Jensen, do you have anything to say in your defense? Emily stood slowly. Her hands shook. Your Honor, I made terrible mistakes. I betrayed my husband and violated his trust. I know that. Her voice cracked. But I did contribute to our marriage for 20 years. I worked. I maintained our home. You lied, Judge Wright said flatly. Every Monday for 20 years, you lied to your husband's face. You stole from your joint accounts to fund an affair. You committed fraud at your place of employment. Emily's face crumpled. Mrs. Jensen, the court is not in the business of rewarding dishonesty. Sit down. Emily sat. She was crying now, silently, tears streaming down her face. Judge Wright looked at both attorneys. I'll issue my ruling within 2 weeks. This hearing is adjourned. 14 days later, Damien called me at work. Judge Wright issued her ruling. My heart hammered. And? You got everything. The house, the majority of the savings, all the investment accounts, your full 401k. Emily gets her 401k and $12,000. What's left after we subtracted the dissipated assets? What about spousal support? Denied. Judge Wright said Emily's conduct demonstrated such a profound breach of marital trust that spousal support would be inappropriate. I sat down hard in my office chair. We won. This is one of the most lopsided settlements I've ever negotiated, Damien said, and I could hear the satisfaction in his voice. Congratulations, Robert. You got justice. Thank you for everything. My pleasure. People like your ex-wife need to understand that actions have consequences. That evening, I stood in my driveway, looking at the house. My house. Solely mine now. Paid for with my work, kept through my determination. Max chased a tennis ball across the yard, tail wagging, completely unconcerned with the legal victory that had just reshaped my life. My phone rang. Greg Sanders. Rob? Greg's voice came through warm and concerned. Heard the divorce went through today. How are you feeling? I watched Max chase his tennis ball in lazy circles. Lighter, I said. Like I can finally breathe again. Damien said you cleaned up in the settlement. I got what I deserved. Emily got what she deserved. I paused. Justice, not just revenge. What about the other guy? Whitmore? I smiled. Couldn't help it. His company filed for bankruptcy last month. He's being sued by former clients. Multiple lawsuits. His reputation's completely destroyed. I walked over to the porch steps and sat down. Word is he's living in a studio apartment now, driving for a rideshare company to make ends meet. Jesus. He made his choices. Now he gets to live with them. And Emily? Last I heard, she's working as a bookkeeper at some small firm in Beaverton. No CPA license. The state board revoked it permanently for the timesheet fraud. She's making about a third of what she used to make. I picked up a stick and threw it for Max. Her sister called me last month, actually, Liza, begging me to give Emily some of the settlement money because Emily's struggling. What'd you say? I hung up on her. Greg was quiet for a moment. You've changed, Rob. You're harder now. I had to be. The old me would have been destroyed by what Emily did. The new me took control and fought back. Just don't let it make you bitter, man. Don't let what she did poison the rest of your life. I thought about that. Really thought about it. I won't, I said finally. I'm not defined by her betrayal. I'm defined by how I responded to it. That's what matters. Good. That's good. He sighed. Listen, I'm proud of you for handling this the way you did, for not crumbling. Thanks, Greg, for everything, for the referral, for the advice, for just being there. That's what best friends are for. We talked for a while longer, about work, about his wife, about normal things that had nothing to do with divorce or betrayal. It felt good. Normal. When we hung up, I went inside and poured myself 2 fingers of whiskey, sat in the living room, in my house, and just breathed. My phone buzzed. Text from Angela. Thought you'd want to know. Douglas Whitmore just had his car repossessed. Man's hit rock bottom. I typed back, good. Thanks for everything, Angela. Anytime. You were a model client, knew exactly what you wanted and didn't hesitate to pursue it. I raised my glass to the empty room. To justice, I said out loud, and to never being anyone's fool again. The whiskey burned going down. It felt right. 3 months later, I got a job offer. Seattle Manufacturing Company, operations director position. Better than my old job. Better pay, better benefits, better opportunity for advancement. I accepted without hesitation. Then I called a real estate agent and listed the house. My house, legally. Won fair and square in the divorce. But I didn't want it anymore. Didn't want to walk past the spot where Emily used to check her makeup before her Monday bank runs. Didn't want to sleep in the bedroom where she'd come home and kissed me after spending 2 hours with Douglas. The memories were mine now, but I didn't have to live in them. Portland's real estate market was hot. I made a substantial profit, almost double what we'd originally paid 15 years ago. I bought a smaller place in Seattle. 2 bedrooms, modern kitchen, and a deck overlooking Puget Sound. Clean, new, mine. Max adjusted to Seattle like he'd lived there his whole life. We found a good park nearby, trails for hiking on weekends. I joined a gym. Started actually using it, not just paying for a membership I ignored. Reconnected with old friends I'd lost touch with over the years. Guys from college, former coworkers who'd moved to the area. Greg and I met for drinks every few weeks. Sometimes we talked about what had happened. Mostly we didn't. You seem good, he said one night over beers at a pub near Pike Place Market. Happy even. I am. I meant it. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm living my own life. Not the life Emily wanted me to think we had. Any interest in dating? Eventually. Not yet. I'm still processing everything. Fair enough. Just remember, not everyone is Emily. I know. I took a drink. But I'm going to be a lot more careful about who I trust. He nodded. Understood. And slowly, week by week, month by month, I healed. Not completely. Maybe never completely. But enough. About a year after the divorce, I was back in Portland for work. Just a 2-day trip. Meetings with a potential supplier, tour of their facility, the usual business travel stuff. I stopped at a grocery store near my hotel. Needed some water, maybe a snack for the evening. That's when I saw her. Emily was in the produce section, looking tired and worn. Her hair had gray at the temples now. She'd always colored it before, kept up appearances. There were new lines around her eyes, a defeated slump to her shoulders. She was pushing a cart with generic brands, discount pasta, store-brand cereal. She looked up and froze. Robert. Emily. The silence stretched awkward and heavy between us. How are you? She asked finally. Her voice was small. Good. Great, actually. I gestured vaguely. You? I'm managing. Her eyes tracked to my coat. Designer, wool blend, expensive. Then to my watch. Things I'd bought because I could afford them now. Things I deserved. You look good. Thanks. I'm living in Seattle now. New job, new life. I heard. Your sister posted about it on Facebook. Did she? I grabbed an apple from the display, just to have something to do with my hands. Well, I should get going. Robert, she swallowed hard. I really am sorry. For everything. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She wasn't the woman I'd married. That woman had never existed. Just a mask worn for 20 years. This was who she'd always been underneath. Someone capable of compartmentalizing, of lying, of choosing herself over everyone else. I know you are, I said quietly. But sorry doesn't change anything. You made your choices. Now we're both living with the consequences. The difference is, my consequences led to a better life. Yours didn't. That's not my fault. I know, she whispered. Take care, Emily. I walked away without looking back. Didn't need to. 2 years after everything fell apart, I got an email from Janine. Robert, it read, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to update you on Douglas. His mother passed away last month, cancer, and in her will, she left everything to charity, specifically excluded him. Apparently, she'd learned about his affairs and the business failure and was appalled. He's completely broke now, living with his cousin in a trailer park outside Portland. I know it's petty, but I thought you'd appreciate knowing that karma finished what we started. All the best, Janine. I read it twice. Then I forwarded it to Angela with a note. The universe has a sense of justice after all. She replied within minutes. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Proud of how you handled everything, Robert. You're a model of how to respond to betrayal with strength and strategy. I was sitting on my deck, watching the sunset paint Puget Sound in oranges and purples. Max was asleep at my feet, his breathing steady and peaceful. Inside, Carla was making dinner. I could hear her humming along to music on the stereo. We'd been dating for 6 months, met through work. She was a software engineer at a company we partnered with on a project. Started with coffee, then dinners, then weekends hiking with Max. She was the opposite of Emily, direct, honest, transparent. What you saw was what you got. No secrets, no lies, no hidden Monday morning appointments, just real. Dinner's ready, she called from the kitchen. Coming. I stood, stretched, looked out at the water one more time. 20 years of my life had been stolen by someone I trusted. But I'd taken back control, fought for justice, made sure everyone who wronged me faced real consequences. Emily was struggling in a dead-end job, barely making ends meet, her reputation destroyed, her career ruined. Douglas had lost his business, his money, his reputation, even his family support. Living in a trailer park, broke and alone. And me? I had a great job, a beautiful home, good friends, a wonderful girlfriend who valued me and treated me with respect. I walked inside. Carla was plating spaghetti, still humming. Max trotted after me, tail wagging. "Smells amazing," I said, kissing her on the cheek. "It's just spaghetti," she laughed. "Best spaghetti I've ever had." Because it was honest, real, no lies hiding beneath the surface, just a simple meal with someone who respected me. And that, after everything, was exactly what I deserved. I hope you found that story powerful. Leave a like on the video and subscribe so that you do not miss out on the next one. I have handpicked 2 stories for you that are even more powerful. Have a great day.